Hello Baphomates and my satanic siblings, I'm Jobe and this is another video on the Book of Job YouTube channel. And today we're going to be covering a video from PragerU. Because I had so much fun with my last video, I thought I'd go to one of the bigger YouTube channels that cover apologetics, called PragerU. So those of you who don't know, PragerU is a YouTube channel that basically talks about, like, you know, you can't have morality without a god, or stuff, a lot of arbitrary apologetics that you hear a lot on the internet. And a lot of the debunking channels I watch kind of do a lot of PragerU videos, so I thought I'd give it a go myself. Yes, I'm not wearing a new horn, so I'm wearing these goggles instead. Unfortunately, my horns are currently in Loughton, but I'll be bringing them home on Saturday. So that's that thing. But anyway, moving on, we're going to check out this video by PragerU, and let's see if it's going to be any good whatsoever. Chances are it's not.
In a recent interview, while I was presenting some scientific discoveries that may point to the existence of God.
To be fair, this is one of those things that always bugs me with this. First of all, press X to doubt, because if there was scientific proof, scientists would have also found it, bearing in mind scientists are of many faiths outside of just being atheists. But do go on.
A camera operator, a young woman whom I'll call Maria, began to weep visibly.
Trust me, bro, this is a story that actually happened, truly happened. I was there and then the whole train started clapping. It's one of those stories again, isn't it?
Later she told me the reason for her tears.
Boredom?
Like many young people, Maria believed in God when she arrived in college. But while there, she repeatedly encountered professors who insisted that based on the science, God was a myth.
I mean, I still doubt this story even happened, but what classes was she taking for that to be a thing that all of the lecturers were telling her? Because I've never been to university. I did a few years of college when I was doing like English, maths, ICT. No mention of God not existing in those classes. What's the curriculum like in the US for that to be a common thing to be told? But going back to the original thing, what was she even learning in the first place for that to come up often enough, you know? And once again, the majority of your country are creationists, or Christian at least, theists I should say, you know, like 75%. So why is, once again, all of this going to, so many of these teachers were saying God's not real? Okay, I once again don't believe you.
No more real than Santa Claus. Maria didn't feel equipped to challenge her professors. She eventually left college with nagging doubts about her faith.
Of course, we can't have anyone questioning anything in their life. They've got to kind of stay exactly as they are, believing exactly what they were taught to believe without changing their mind on any aspect of it whatsoever. That's how they grow and develop.
And wondered whether life, including her own life, might be nothing more than a cosmic accident.
Again, with the concept of it being an accident. So, for something to be an accident, there would have to be like a thing involved that did something it wasn't supposed to do. Whilst our current understanding of the universe is it kind of functions, so there's no real accidents, because an accident implies intent in regards to I didn't mean to do that, so that implies kind of like the opposite of intent, but still kind of there was an intention and a different outcome happened. So cosmic accident still implies like a thinking agent, and no, we're not an accident. We're basically a product of the function of the universe.
Many young people share Maria's doubts. Indeed, powerful voices in the academy tell us that science makes belief in God and human significance untenable.
Now, you could go and say the first part of that is true, that the concept of a god is insignificant, whatever, and untenable, but human kind of significance, no one outside of like nihilism and the negative nihilism, not the positive nihilism, outside of that concept, no one really thinks that life is like untenable in the concept of it having any significance, because I like my life. My life is significant to me, and many other people, be them theist or atheist, will say my life has meaning to me. So no, they wouldn't teach that.
Or as Richard Dawkins, the famed atheist from Oxford, has asserted,
He mentioned Richard Dawkins. Quick, scratch that off your bingo card.
the universe we observe has precisely the properties we should expect if there is, at bottom, no design, no purpose, nothing but blind, pitiless indifference.
Bottom.
But are we the product of such indifference?
I mean, in regards like a universe, a non-sentient universe carrying that we exist, yes. But once again, we don't judge our existence based on how we got here. We base our existence on our experiences. And once again, if you're a person who enjoys what you do, that's all the significance you need. No God required. If you believe in a God, fine, but I don't need a God to enjoy my life. If there is a God and I'm still enjoying my life, I'm still enjoying my life regardless.
That is purely materialistic processes that did not have us in mind, as another scientific atheist has put it?
Of course, considering that atheist wasn't Richard Dawkins, we're just not going to mention it.
Does the universe have the properties we should expect if this all there is matter vision of reality is correct?
I mean, once again, in a scientific context, all we can go on is what can be observed, studied, and evidenced. So if it's not made out of matter or does any form of interacting with any other thing, you can't really say it exists until you can show that it exists. Similar to like dark matter. You can't see dark matter, but because it interacts with other things, it kind of, you know it's there, you just can't see it there, but it's interacting with other things. And it's only called dark matter because you can't actually see it. So if it doesn't interact in a measurable way, you can't just say it's there, you know? So you can kind of only go by what you can see, prove, and see interactions with. So it's not just about visual, but if it has an interaction with something, you can say that something is there. So yeah, if it's not material, does not interact with anything else, and has no observable effect, then yeah, you can't really say it exists outside of the concept of matter.
Perhaps not. 3 major scientific discoveries contradict the expectations of scientific atheists.
Now this is a thing that comes up quite a lot that I find quite fun in the idea that if you're an atheist, you believe everything that science says, regardless of any contradictions, and therefore, if you believe in the science, you're also an atheist. So in the concept of so basically there can't be a Christian who is also a scientist who agrees and understands the concept of evolution, abiogenesis, stuff like that. To them, if you believe in the science, you're not a Christian. And I know some Christians out there who follow science and understand the science, and will also kind of feel very insulted by, hey, if you believe in all this, you're an atheist. And all an atheist says is, I don't believe there's a God. So yeah, you're kind of throwing a lot of people under the bus on this one.
And point instead in a distinctly God-friendly direction. First, the Big Bang.
Because as we all know, the Big Bang disproves God because reasons.
Discoveries in observational astronomy and developments in theoretical physics have revealed that the universe had a beginning.
Yep, that is true. The universe had a beginning. Now, the Bible doesn't say the universe didn't have a beginning, so I've never understood why this part is a problem. I think the only difference is science says it happened in a particular way, whilst the Bible says it happened within 6 days. And I believe PragerU are more biblical literalists. Now, not sure if they're young earthers, and young earthers are people who believe that the earth is 6,000 to 10,000 years old, and therefore nothing can be older. So I don't know if they are young earthers in that sort of regard, but I believe they are biblical literalists.
This is contrary to the expectation of scientific materialists.
It really isn't, but I think I know where he's going to go with this, so get your bingo cards.
Who long portrayed the universe as eternal and self-existent,
Yeah, so as far as my understanding goes with this, way back when, at some point it was believed that the universe was eternal. And it wasn't until that they noticed, like the redshift, when they noticed that objects in space were moving away from each other, such as galaxies moving away from other galaxies, they then kind of came to the conclusion that if these things are moving away, at one point they were closer. So they just put it in reverse. And it kind of implied the Big Bang.
and therefore in no need of an external creator.
To be fair, this might be one of those things where he winds up saying, so science changes its mind, so does that mean it can be wrong? And then they go, yeah, our understanding of things can be wrong, and then we change our understanding of things the more we learn.
This evidence for a beginning has instead confirmed the expectation of theists.
I mean, technically true, because if the universe did exist eternally, then God might not necessarily have been there to create it. But at the same time, we could also say, of course the universe is infinite, because God is also infinite. So God could have created the universe, and they are both infinite.
Nobel laureate Arno Penzias helped make a key discovery establishing a cosmic beginning. He later observed, "The best data we have are exactly what I would have predicted, had I nothing to go on but the first 5 books of Moses and the Bible as a whole."
I mean, to be fair, that's usually called confirmation bias, but go on.
And he's not alone. Cosmological evidence has led other prominent scientists, including former MIT physicist Gerald Schroeder and the great Caltech astronomer Alan Sandage, to affirm a transcendent creator beyond space and time as the best explanation for the origin of our finite universe.
So here's where I'm going to take an issue with that. Now, I don't know how accurate that quote is, because this is a sort of group that do quote mining. But, okay, fine. A bloke said a thing that predicted what they thought to be there. Fair enough. But then you apply that to evolutionary biology, when they kind of say, or evolutionary discovery rather, and they say, well, we predict to find this sort of thing here at about this point in the fossil record, and then go, hey, we found it. Then that stops being evidence, and that starts being, well, of course they were just looking for it and stuff like that. So I find it interesting that for you, when it confirms something that you agree with, that's fine. But then when something you don't understand or agree with, find something that confirms what they have predicted, then that becomes confirmation bias. That's a lovely bit of cherry picking you're doing there.
Second, fine-tuning. We live in what Australian physicist Luke Barnes calls an extremely fortunate universe.
Yep. And other scientists don't say that.
Where fundamental laws and physical parameters have somehow been fine-tuned with just the right strengths and values to make life possible.
I mean, technically, yes, fortunate in the concept of our universe allows us to be able to exist. But, you know, anything could technically happen on a cosmological sort of tangent. You know, we could all of a sudden just be hit by a thing and no longer exist, and the universe won't notice. Hell, we don't know if this has happened elsewhere in the universe, because we are just so far away from everything else. So basically, we exist, so therefore the universe must have been tweaked for us to exist. And this is that whole puddle analogy by, I believe it was Douglas Adams, with the old quote of, a puddle goes into a hole, fills the hole, and the puddle goes, wow, this entire hole is in the right shape just for me. When you don't quite fully understand the whole concept of, we've kind of adapted here rather than this being made for us.
The incredible odds against this happening by chance has led even agnostic and atheistic physicists to marvel.
Yeah, we go, damn, what are the odds of that happening? Yeah, I know, right? It doesn't really prove anything, though.
As British physicist Paul Davies has exclaimed, the impression of design is overwhelming.
That's the funny thing, isn't it? It looks designed. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is. And the other argument to that would be, then show me a thing that doesn't look like it's designed, because we've got nothing really to compare it to.
Atheist physicist George Greenstein expresses similar cognitive dissonance. The thought insistently arises that some supernatural agency must be involved.
I know, right? It's almost like there was probably more to that statement than just that bit you showed. In fact, it didn't even look like it was the end of the sentence before you moved on to the last one. So, I could take your word for it, or I may have to actually look up and actually find out what the full quote is for context. But that's kind of your strategy, really, isn't it?
Third, the complexity of life.
Well, at least that's something I can agree on. Yeah, life's pretty complex. Let's see where you go with this, because I don't think it's going to prove what you think it's going to prove.
Molecular biology has revealed the presence in living cells of an exquisite world of informational nanotechnology.
That's a weird way to phrase it. I mean, don't really know of anyone who'd refer to it as nanotechnology, as that's implied to be an artificial thing. So no, I don't think anyone calls it that. And once again, this is the thing that comes up a lot when the word information is used, because people make comparisons of information like a computer. A computer can contain this, X amount of information, but there's similar to your DNA. Your DNA also contains information, but that's just a way to phrase it. They're not. The comparison isn't a one-to-one. It's just like the most simplistic way for you to describe it to someone so they can understand. So when they use the term information, it's one of those things they kind of use it to fit anything. So just saying these bits of, these microscopic organisms contain information and nanotechnology, they're basically saying it has stuff in it that's really small, but no one calls it nanotechnology. Come on, man.
Digital code in DNA and RNA, tiny, intricately constructed molecular machines.
See, what did I say? He basically used the comparison of computer information and DNA information. As I said, that's basically how we use to describe it, but it's not a one-to-one comparison. And tiny molecular machines that function, it's just kind of, they're small and they work. They could probably work better, but they work. But once again, that doesn't prove that there was someone who made it.
A complex information storage, transmission, and processing system that resembles but vastly exceeds our most advanced digital high technology.
So basically, damn, this shit be advanced. We can't do that, so therefore. And once again, just comparing it all to computers, which isn't a one-to-one. But also said the other fun thing of any more advanced than any computer technology we have. You're right. I'd agree, it is more advanced than any computer technology. Let's be fair, computers haven't even been around. Computers been around for what? 100 years, if I'm generous. With like the chess machine or whatever. So computers, as we understand them, have existed for almost 100 years. Life has existed on Earth for almost 4 billion, maybe 3 billion, but that's a lot of time. Just because our computers aren't that sophisticated doesn't mean they won't be or can't be. So making that comparison, once again, doesn't work, because life's had a longer time to work on itself than we have on computers. So please stop saying stuff like that.
Not what anyone would expect to see as the result of blind, materialistic processes.
But once again, in regards to that, no one could really say what we would expect to see either way. Actually, sorry, that's incorrect. A lot of people talk about the fact that life is really complex, but if you're designing a thing, you try and make it as simple as possible. There is a lot of things that exist in nature that are unnecessary. We have humans ourselves, we have lots of bits in our bodies that we literally do not need, and it can just go. Or there's a lot of things in like DNA that we have in ourselves and other animals that we just don't need. There's a lot of complexity in life, that is true. But simplicity is what makes something look designed. To make something more streamlined. Yes, a bird can fly, but there's probably a lot of in their biology. There's probably a lot of things in them that could be kind of streamlined, and kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, there's a lot of unnecessary things in a bird that would make a bird fly, that wouldn't need to be there. So just because life is complex and not simple, that kind of shows that it's not designed. Because if you're going to design a thing, you've got to try and make it as streamlined as possible, to try and have as little unnecessary things in there and everything being 100% necessary, which we do not see in nature.
Dawkins himself may have conceded as much when he recently confessed to being knocked sideways with wonder at the miniaturized intricacy of the data processing machinery in the living cell.
Richard Dawkins said another thing. Cool. Yeah, as I said, it's really cool and complex. It looks amazing. But that doesn't prove anything. Once again, it's really complex. If you're going to design a thing, you make it as simple as possible, not complex.
So what should we make of all this?
That you don't quite fully understand how nature works, arguments works, science work, or how atheists think. Not just because you keep bringing Dawkins and everyone's supposed to go, oh, the great Dawkins. But more like, you just don't quite seem to understand what people are arguing against. You don't quite seem to understand what the argument is. And I don't know what this has to do with atheism. I really don't. Your video doesn't really seem to cover of why atheism is bad and religion versus science, because science is science regardless of what religion says.
For their part, scientific atheists have constructed ever more convoluted and fanciful theories.
And once again, this isn't a thing about scientific atheists. This is just what we see through science. Because not every scientist is an atheist. Not every scientist is a Christian either. There's a lot of different groups of people who are scientists on so many different fields. Stop lumping science and atheism as the same thing, because they're not. The only thing they have in common is they disagree with what you say.
They posit alien designers to account for the code of life.
I mean, it's more like a joke scenario, like a hypothetical. I mean, technically, scientifically, aliens are more likely to exist because life on Earth exists. And this might be a reference to panspermia. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically when, as the Earth was forming, and icy comets were hitting the Earth, giving us water, giving the planet water. Some of these comets and meteors had amino acids, or potentially had bacteria from another planet. And that bacteria that survived the vacuum of space started kind of colonizing the Earth. I mean, it's a fun idea. No one takes it seriously, though, except for you people.
Multiple parallel universes to try to explain fine-tuning.
No, that's not why or how the multiverse theory even came around to try and explain fine-tuning. Once again, that's either you deliberately misrepresenting the thing you're arguing against, or misunderstanding what's being said. No, the argument to fine-tuning is, it's not fine-tuned. It's kind of how it functions, but that's not how that works. Once again, just because it works in this particular way doesn't prove a creator. And once again, if it does, it doesn't necessarily prove your creator. It just kind of might say it could be, but then this on its own does not prove this. So no, the multiverse theory isn't even a thing to try and disprove the concept of fine-tuning. I just don't think you understand what the argument is.
And they've developed elaborate mathematical equations in an attempt to use physics to show how the universe could have begun from nothing physical.
Did the big numbers hurt your brain? And this is another talking point that comes up. No one necessarily understands the idea of a nothing. Like the idea of the universe comes from a nothing, because even the bits between stars, the universe itself is still kind of like a fabric. So we don't even know if a nothing can exist. And the other thing that always bugs me with this is they kind of say, well, scientists say the universe comes from nothing. What do you believe it comes from? God spoke it into existence. Out of nothing? Because I'm assuming before God created the universe, there was a nothing for him to create it in. Do you kind of see why I don't understand that as an arguing point? Because ostensibly you're saying the same thing. You're saying God did it, fine, but you're still saying he created the universe out of nothing. Because he technically would have had to have done it that way, would he not?
But what if the scientific atheists are just wrong?
Well, then if the scientific atheists, because apparently no other scientists exist in this fiction, then you should be able to use actual science from actual understanding of the universe to prove them wrong. But you don't, because you don't know how to science. You know how to cherry pick, but you don't know how to science.
What if the universe has precisely the properties we should expect if there is an intelligent and purposeful creator behind it all?
Well, if that's the case, I would have thought that having my air hole, food hole and water hole at part of the same pipe was pretty bad design. You know, if I was going to design a thing that needed to eat and breathe and drink, I wouldn't put those two holes so close together, leaving a tiny flap of skin to separate the two. I would kind of put them separately so you couldn't risk drowning on your own Coke or choking on your own mashed potatoes. You know, I'd design it where that wouldn't happen.
In my book, Return of the God Hypothesis, I argued that the universe has precisely such properties.
Cool. And I assume all of the science you use behind that has been like peer reviewed, and other scientists have managed to read through your book to kind of point out any errors involving your maths, physics, chemistry, that sort of thing. I assume it's all been peer reviewed and it's all above board. I assume that's what's happened, right?
And that raises a hopeful possibility that we are not the product of blind, pitiless indifference.
I mean, have you read the Bible? God doesn't actually seem to care that much for human beings outside of the ones who just kiss his ass. You know, and also, are you worried that if there's no God, you have no meaning to your life? If that's the case, look into what's making your life unhappy, because you might not be living right. You know, you might not actually be living your best life if you feel that the only thing you need in your life is God. You know, as I said, if you're a religious person and you believe in God and God loves you, etc., fine. But if you feel that the only reason you have a meaning to your life is God, then I'm not sure if you're happy in your life. And I'm saying this as a person who used to be a Christian. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to go through the whole spiel, but yeah, I used to be a Christian, and I believed that you can still enjoy your life if you're, as long as you do good things for other people, you're still allowed to be happy. So if you feel that you need a God to have meaning in your life, and if there is no God, your life has no meaning, then you really need to reevaluate your priorities in your life. And I'm not saying that as a disparaging thing. If that is generally how you feel, talk to someone. Talk to your friends, your family. Go see a therapist if needs be. Preferably more of a secular one rather than one with religious leanings, because obviously the solution will just be pray it away, which always works 100% of the time, except when it doesn't.
But instead, that we were made on purpose, that we were intended. British historian Paul Johnson has argued.
Johnson. Also, the reason why lighting's going a bit strange now is because the sun's starting to set, so.
That the existence or non-existence of God is the most important question we humans can ever ask.
Finally, a quote from someone that kind of actually means something. Yeah, it is a very important question. But just because one side says, I don't know, that doesn't then make your answer correct.
Given the scientific evidence we now have, it might be time to consider or reconsider this question.
Yeah, which could either mean there probably isn't one, or if there is one, he or they, she, whatever, just does not care. Once again, I go back to that whole thing of me wanting to breathe and eat and can risk drowning. So, you know, either don't care or they are incompetent because of the whole, well, one of the things, because of the whole, you know, eating and breathing and stuff. What's the other one? Why would a council, if a council was building an area, why would it build a playground so close to a sewage factory? You know, just picking the kind of human body comparison sort of thing, you know?
I'm Stephen Meyer, philosopher of science at the Discovery Institute.
I'm Jobe Fortuna, TST member living in the UK, sitting in his bedroom.
For Prager University.
Man, I'd love to see their accreditation. But hey, that was a fun video to do. Went a lot longer than I thought it would, but here we go. Like I said, I did enjoy doing this, and as with the other previous ones. So once again, if you did enjoy this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on the social medias below. Let me know what you think, and if you think I should keep doing videos like this outside of the normal satanic stuff. So hope you all enjoyed, and don't forget to live your life deliciously.